Yeah, one
Yeah.
one question, sir.
Yes.
If possible, exactly how we can write for this case. Can you just give me a sample or something?
Okay.
Just you can post in WhatsApp or
Sample
some.
sample documents are already there.
Yeah.
Check those links.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But in
No, I want
in
you to write. Okay, read from previous work and improve your current work.
okay.
Okay. If I give
Okay.
you this, then you will not have anything to do. Correct.
Okay.
So
Okay.
improve this work looking at the other work, other documents.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. So, okay, now we are getting down to the each topic, okay, hands-on, okay. Till now, what we've been doing was at high level itself, okay. Now we are talking about, okay. So I think we have already discussed this stages, right? We discussed that there are four main stages: enterprise analysis, elicitation, requirement analysis, solution assessment. These happen in sequence. And then you have business analysis, planning, monitoring, and then management and communication. These, okay, happens in parallel. Okay, so let's get into enterprise analysis. What is enterprise analysis? Can one of you read? Somebody, you want to read?
Can I read?
Yes, go ahead.
What is enterprise analysis? Identifies business needs, problems, and opportunities, defines the nature of a solution, assesses important impacts of changes and business readiness to adopt a change, determines most feasible solution approach, justifies investment to deliver a solution.
Exactly. So what are these about, right? The first point is identify the business need. Why are we doing this work? Okay, what problem are we trying to solve? What opportunity we will get once we achieve this? Okay, so all of those problems, okay, problems, opportunities, needs, okay, that's the beginning point. Okay, what is that you want to achieve by doing this work? That's point number one. The nature of solution, okay, of course this is too early to talk about solution, but nature, right? So you want to have some kind of tool in place, you want to have some kind of HR process in place, you want to have some kind of financial process in place, right? You think that you need to have some experts who will, okay, so at a high level you know what kind of project it is. Okay, well, of course, our assumption is that the nature of solution will be a software solution which we will develop. Okay, that's where the whole thing comes. But yes, it could be, right. Not always people to come up with software solution, right? Sometimes they might come up with a different HR policies. They might change the appraisal system, right? And of course, those things are also the work of enterprise analysis itself, right? You're trying to understand the nature of solution. Third, we say is, okay, so if we come up with that kind of solution, what impact it will have on our business? Are we ready for that change? Can we handle that change? Can we, execute that change? Okay, that's what we talk about. We talk about this business and change, and then feasible solution. Okay, ultimately it's about something which you can achieve. Okay, now um, it doesn't make sense to talk a solution which is not affordable, right? And it depends, right? Small companies will have a smaller um, uh, you know uh, expenses or the cost of the solution, right? Bigger companies can think about a more expensive solution, of course, right? Everybody has a limit on the finance. So is it feasible? Okay, does it the benefit that you are going to get, does that, okay, outweighs the cost? And that's what we do in terms of uh, the investment. Okay, so justifies in why should you invest? Okay, what benefit you're going to get? Now benefit can be quantified and not qualitative benefit. We say quantified benefit, okay, and qualitative benefit. So revenue will increase by 10%. That is something that you can quantify. Okay. So yes, good. Okay. Something which you cannot quantify. This will improve our process, right? But what it says is that business case is that you have to put a value against all those things. Okay. So maybe you can put average value or best case value or worst case value, but some kind of value in dollar you have to put against it, right? Even for the qualitative thing, right? So objective, solution, okay, impact of the solution on the business, can we afford that solution, and finally what are the benefits that we're going to get. You're measuring the benefit versus the cost of implementing the solution. These are the objectives of enterprise analysis. So when you conduct enterprise analysis, we'll create a document which will have all these. We call it as business case document. Okay, most of you would have heard about business case document. That's what we create, and these are the things that we put it in business case document. Okay, so but before you perform, these are the things that you should know, you should be aware of before you do this. Okay, first thing is, what is the business vision and mission and the objectives? Okay, is it something that is in alignment? Your goal is in alignment with the business objective, right? If company's vision is something different and you want to do something different than that, probably your management will not agree or accept, right? So, and if it is in alignment with the business vision, then everybody would support you in your project, right? So that's why you should know the company's vision, mission, values, goals, objectives, and these are public information. You can go to any company and you will see there, all these things will be kept on their website. Okay, org structure. Who is what, right? Who is what? Who is delivering what? And why do you think the org structure is important to know?
Like it shows the hierarchy of the positions.
Correct.
Yeah.
So why should we know? What's the objective of knowing it?
Like with which people we need to work.
Which need to work? Who are the decision makers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who who should have more weightage? Who should you trust more, right? Of course, if a VP says no and senior manager says yes, so you know that VP will have more weightage, right?
Yeah. So, in some cases, we need approvals for our work also.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Right. So you need approval. So who is the approving authority, right? Okay, if you have to talk about finance, then who would be the right guy to talk about, because you have to look for somebody in finance department, right? That's why it is important to know the people and their position, how they are related, things like that. Then different business functions. Why should we know different business functions? What are different business functions? When I say business function, what does that mean? So I mean, like, sales, marketing, right? Finance, HR, okay,
Yeah.
Product development, product management. Okay, inside that also they might have, product development might have 3-4 a smaller department. Finance might have like receivable, payable, right? They have different departments, right? So these are functions, right? Why should you know these functions? Because the software or the solution that you're going to develop will be touching upon these functions. No solution you can think of, at least in today's time, is only for one department. Okay, yes, maybe the department would be using it heavily, but it has to be connected to some other department. It has to get information from some other department. Okay, how will information come to your system? It has to connect to other systems. So your solution, okay, your software will be touching multiple functions. So you should know those functions and who are the people in those functions. Okay, some functions you may not touch. That's fine. Okay, so you know whom not to talk to, whom to talk to, whom not to talk to. Right? Business systems, the systems which is already available, which is already installed, which is already being used, because your system will be talking to these systems. Business processes. What are different what are processes? Tell me. What do you know business process? So process is about achieving a certain activity, right? So if you say that a new joinee, for example, so when there's a new joinee, the person has to fill up that form. The form will get into some system. System will generate seat number, email ID, etc., etc. Right? So those are nothing but your
Business process.
Each of this process, okay, process of new joinee, process of getting a passport, right? So when you want to apply for a passport, okay, there's certain process that you have to follow. I have to fill the form, and the process is cuts across multiple functions for sure, right? And the systems are actually, if you look at, are based upon a certain process, and certain process can also cut across multiple systems. For example, if you go to hospital, if you make the payment, right, for making payment, you need to go through your hospital payment, so the finance software that will get connected to the payment gateway paying back card, right? If you're getting an insurance thing, then it has to connect to the insurance department or insurance companies to get validation that you have certain insurance with you. So that process of payment actually cuts across multiple systems, but definitely it's cut across multiple functions, okay, and many times it also cuts across multiple systems, okay, and you achieve. Okay? So see, you don't care how many systems, how many functions you touch upon as an end user, okay. If you go for let's say you go to a store, buy stuff, and you go for payment, they say no, this is for only ladies, or this is only for dresses, or this is only for this thing, you have to go to that floor you have to. No, it doesn't happen, right? Yes, every department is different, okay, but when you make the payment, after payment you decide which department will get how much of payment, right? In hospital you don't have separate payment window for different department, right? It's all the same, okay. Internally they will again divide, okay, this payment will go to that department or this department, right? But from a customer perspective, you don't care, right, how you're distributing the payment, right? If you buy 10 stuff and if you have to stand in 5 different queues to make the payment, okay, you probably will never visit next time that store, right? So as a process, it should be going across multiple system and functions, achieving what the objective of the process is, right? And you don't care how many touch point it has, how many departments it touches, okay? And why do we need to know the process? Because your software, okay, will either replace one of those process or will complement, okay, those one of the process, okay. And assuming the system, the company is already running, right? So they might have paper-based system. So you're replacing the paper-based system with new online system. It is already online, but probably it is not able to handle more users. So you're going to make some modification of process so that it can handle more users now, right? So process, the business roles, right? Org structure, business roles, are similar in the sense. See,
Yeah.
org will tell you the position, VP of finance. But what is the role of VP of finance? What power? So that can vary from different company to company, right? A VP of finance in company A might do something different than VP of finance in company B. Okay, something similar, but not exactly same. Right? So you need to know different roles, who's going to give approval, who's going to accept, reject. Then you have a regulatory environment, because the solution that you're going to develop has to meet the regulatory environment, isn't it? It has to you cannot play against the government rules, right? So whatever you develop, okay, it has to be within the government regulations. So that's why you need to understand the regulatory requirement, information requirement, okay, what information you need from a software perspective, what data you need, what input you need to process the work, and the completion history of the work. Have this company already been engaged on this project? If yes, then what is the work that has been done? If no, then where to begin with. Okay, so those are the things that you should know before you perform enterprise analysis. Now that you get all this information, you can process to create or come up with the solution, right? So some of the things that we already discussed, right? What is system? System is process or set of processes done in order to accomplish some business objective, right? So system can have multiple processes, isn't it? And here in our work, we do investigation in terms of what should be removed, because the system is there. You cannot totally remove the system, because if you remove it, then that system, what the system was doing, will not be done, isn't it? So if you're removing, you have to put something else in that place, right? So if you have to remove, you are also adding. Okay, that's nothing but replacement. Or in some cases, you're making some minor changes. Okay, so that's called crack analysis. Keep, remove, add, change. Keep means, okay, this system is good. We don't have to make any changes to the system. Fine. So you are not making any system. So in the new thing, also the old system will work exactly the same way it was working in the previous system, right? So in that case, you will not make any changes, which is rare. Okay, so but then possible, right? There could be 10 systems, so you're touching only 2 or 3 systems, or maybe only one system. So other 8, 7, 9 systems will not have any change, right? So you will keep them as it is, or you remove them. You don't need it. Later you will add some other new system. Okay, or you edit it. Add means you are making something or adding something to the existing system. And finally, you want to change it. Okay,
Like
so
we can say small upgrade.
a small upgrade. Yes, yes. Okay, so that's why it is important. Okay, so now coming to the different steps. Okay, these are the steps that we perform. Okay, now that we know what are different things, now first is define the business need. Very similar to the first slide that we did. What is the business need? What I'm supposed to do? What are the gaps that you are filling up? Okay, see, I told you, all 3 of you, that you have to go through the job descriptions of the profiles, right, and make that notes. Okay, that exactly is that the step number 2, which I asked you to do. Assess the gaps. So now you know what you know, and see, without knowing what it is, what BA process is, you don't know what you don't know. And that is true, right? We don't know about it, so we don't know what it is. But when you look at the job descriptions, now you know what is expected as a BA. So you're making notes of it. So those are your gaps. Things that you put in the document, that is the gap that you have identified. Oh, these are the 50 things I need to learn. These are the 20 things that I need to learn. That is the gap. Okay, so first thing is the need. Okay, need, we all know. What is the need? Need is to get a job in business analysis domain, right? As a business analyst. Okay, that's the business need. Gap is what you don't know, what is expected in the market. Okay, what skill set they're expecting, and you don't have it, right? So when you identify all the 50, okay, out of 50, 10 you have it, 40 you don't have it. So that is the gap. The 40 requirements is the gap, which we will fill by doing this training. Then what is the solution approach, right? So when you were thinking, first thing would have come to your mind that I need to do BA, right? Now, when you thought about it, you didn't just join the session, right? You have thought about, like, for a few days at least, right? What should I do? Should I go for training? Should I, talk to my friend? Should I buy a book? Should I watch YouTube videos? Right? So there are different things that you would have done. That's called determine the solution approach. So you have a problem. Problem statement is to get a job in BA, right? So now your solution approach is that what you felt is good for you, right? Not everybody would do what you have done, right? So that is the need for each individual. Okay, what do I need to be in order to achieve my business objective, right? So that is the different approaches that you have you looked at, and finally you selected one approach. Now when you found the approach, next was what is the scope, right? The scope could be depending upon your what kind of help you need, right? So training is in scope, maybe your resume provision could be in scope, right? Finding a job for you could be in scope. So these are different things that you have identified that you will be doing now, right? So maybe somebody might say, okay, I have the resume, so I don't need resume support. Okay, I just need only training. Somebody will say, I need training, I need job support, right? So there are different kind of requirements that you might have. Okay, so that is part of the solution scope. So identifying what solution you need. Okay, and then finally is business case. So when you looked at your need and when you approached, okay, and they would have given you a cost, right? So you should have felt, is it something, a cost, is it affordable, right? So it's not only affordable, it's about, I told you, right, business case, developing business case. So the benefit I'm going to get, is it more than the cost? If the answer is yes, benefit I'm going to get is more than the cost, that's when you would pay money, right? If you don't feel, right, so we don't pay money, right? So see, few things looks expensive for us when you go to a retail store and you like the product, and when you see the price, okay, you feel the price is too high, you don't buy it. So why? Because you feel that the benefit that you're going to get from that product, okay, is less when you don't buy, okay, is less than the cost, okay, so you don't buy. And sometimes we buy stuff because we feel that the benefit that I'm going to get is more than the cost, and that's when you are willing to pay, right? We also call it as value. Okay, every product, everything that you buy, we always compare with the value. Am I going to get more value by buying this at so and so price? If answer is yes, you will buy it, right? So that's the different steps that as an enterprise analyst you will be following. As I told you, right, this is done by the senior BAs. Okay, so as you get more experience, you will be performing. But yes, depending upon your company and your role, you might be involved in one of the steps, right? So the senior BA might, okay, ask you to work with her or him, and you might be given a small component, okay, to do some research, okay, perform some kind of analysis, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now all the steps that we have discussed, we have to discuss in detail each of those steps. Okay. So the first thing is define business need. Okay. So we are going to talk about these 6 things. Okay. First thing is the description. When I say define business need, what does that mean? Okay. Then what kind of input you need to have already to perform that work? Okay, you need to have something with you to perform, right? That's called input. Okay, input is that is required to create business need, to know business need. Then elements. Okay, elements are things that you will use or you will create. Okay, and then you have techniques. Okay, so techniques we have already discussed most of the techniques, but things which we have not discussed we will discuss here. So techniques are the way you will find or the way you will come up with the final analysis, right? And then stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who will give you the answers to your questions. So when you're performing this step, you might have some questions. Who should you answer, or who should you get the answers from? These are the stakeholders, right? So we talk about different stakeholders here. And then we will talk about the final output that you will create. Okay. So if you start, what is the business need? It is defined as a problem that we are seeking a solution for. Correct? The business need is a problem or opportunity. Okay. So the way it is defined determines which alternate solution will be considered and which stakeholders will be consulted and which solution approach will be evaluated. Right? So simple. Then input. To perform this, you need to have your business goals and objectives, right? The business goals is probably defined by the CEO, right? Or by the company's official document. Okay, so this is what is one of the input that you need to have with you to proceed. Okay, and then the requirements. Okay, what CEO wants or what company wants to achieve this year. Okay, that's the requirement. So you have these two information. Then what is business goals and objectives, which is being used here as input? Yes.
What they want to achieve is their goal.
Right. It could be their long-term goal or short-term goal, but it is definitely something that they want to achieve, and that what you are targeting at. Okay. Then business problem or the opportunity. Right. What is the problem that they are looking at? What opportunity are they trying to gain or win by doing this? Okay. Or the desired outcome. What is the desired outcome? Sometimes they may not have problem, but they want to get certain desired outcomes. So what is the outcome they are looking at? Okay. Okay. Now look at the techniques. Go through your techniques. Try to recollect what we have discussed and tell me which one you don't understand.
Functional decomposition
Functional decomposition, okay.
in SIPOC analysis.
Okay, CPOC, okay.
Business rules analysis.
Okay.
That's
Benchmark.
What is this, Samya? Benchmarking was the first thing that we discussed. First technique.
Exactly.
Benchmarking, brainstorming. You don't remember?
focus groups.
No, just I have a small no.
Sure. So your friend will help us. Now, I heard focus group. Focus group was the third thing that we discussed.
Yes.
Benchmarking was the first, brainstorming was second, focus group is third, right? So yes, who wants to talk about benchmarking? What is benchmarking?
Right.
Yes.
Benchmarking is like comparing.
Correct.
Yeah, if you have few companies, like what they have, like in each factors they'll put in a tabular form.
Correct.
Like yeah, they'll select which company has the factors in a columns, so they'll tick which company has the factor in the column, and they compare. All companies have some factor, but our company don't have that. So by comparing that, which factor we need to improve, that they can identify which factor they have to improve. Like maybe my explanation is not that much good, but if you have a tabular form, like on the columns, you have the factors like the app and the Facebook marketing, like which elements in there are like forward or above than us. So by comparing the each company's advancements are, I don't know, like,
Okay, good.
It's
can I
good.
do
What,
it?
what you
Yeah,
said
I
is
understood.
good. Yes.
No, I
But see,
understood the action.
understood, right?
It's
Yes.
good only.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So see, the thing is, when you are answering a question, okay, so here I understood what you're trying to say, right? But let's say if you're answering the same question to the interviewer, okay? So in your mind, okay, and also while talking to your, interviewer, there are a few things that you have to first set it straight. Now, when you said app, Facebook, I understood what you are getting into, right? But when you talk about to interviewer, may not know what you're talking. What is app? I mean, why you're saying app word and things like that. So first thing is that you have to set yourself as who you are. Okay. So
Yeah.
first thing is that before you answer, right, you think who you are. Okay, think from who you are. Now, okay, so to answer this question, you can think that you are a service provider, okay, and you provide payment system for Facebook. Okay, and then if you say that you're talking about app and this and that, then they'll understand. So first thing is that you any I mean, for that matter, any question, okay, to answer any question is first you set who you are, okay, in your mind, or at least it's better that you tell out. Okay, so I'll give you an example of, I mean, you have to start there. Let's take an example of a payment service provider who's mostly work with Facebook. Okay, but I think those things are probably not there now. So you can think of a business, okay, something that you know, something that you understand very well. Okay, then you start answering. Okay, so that way you will be clear, you know what you need to speak, what are you speaking, and your interviewer will also know what you're speaking. Okay, so always set this context. If you don't feel like telling it openly to an interviewer, you set it in your mind, so that when you answer, you have to answer around that point only. Okay, but what you said is right. Okay, so in benchmarking, we are looking at, okay, multiple competitors and what features they have, and we compare our features with theirs. Okay, and it will tell us what they others have it and you don't have it, or we don't have it, and those features we will try to build. Okay, what is the disadvantage of using benchmarking?
Like we can improve what in which we lack.
Correct, that is not a disadvantage, right? Improving is not disadvantage.
Yeah.
I asked you what is the disadvantage.
Oh, okay. Disadvantage.
The disadvantage is that you cannot, lead the industry by doing benchmarking. You can only know where you are lacking, right? And yes, that's the advantage. You know where you are lacking and you are fulfilling the gap. But if you want to lead the industry, okay, you want to do something new which others have not done, benchmarking doesn't tell you that, because benchmarking, you're always comparing what is already there. Okay, so if others have already have it and you don't have it, yes, it's good tool, but it doesn't. Yeah. What is focus group? This also we discussed.
Like focus group is like specific group, we are like taking insights from specific group.
Right. So there are people who already know your product. Okay.
Yeah.
They know. Okay. They have been users of your product, so they know what is the good and ugly part of your product. So
yeah, you
are
also gave an example like in a healthcare nurses
right.
focus group.
You will talk, yes, and also make sure that the participants have similar background. Okay, in healthcare also you cannot put a receptionist and doctors together. Okay, they have different background. The features which are used with receptionists are not used by doctors. Okay, and which doctors uses will not be used with receptionists. So you cannot compare. So you need to call all the receptionists together, because they can talk about features from the front office perspective. Then you talk about all the doctors together, so that they can tell you from the features that they use from that perspective. Okay, what is business rules and analysis? So business rules are, as the name suggests, these are business rules which indicate what business rules or what capabilities, okay, or rules basically, okay, what rules the business is following. Okay, so I'll just give it. So these rules are mostly like your some kind of process only. Okay, so for example, if you talk about, say, loan, when you're taking a loan from a bank, they will look at your credit history, right? So company will create a business rule that if credit score is more than this, only we will give loan, for example. So that's a business rule. So when you apply for a loan, and if your credit score is below that, okay, your loan will be automatically rejected. You don't need any human being to reject the loan, right? Because that's the rule that you have created. Okay, so advantage of creating rule is that we can automate stuff, right? We can automate, things. So that's why it's better to create rules. All in the process, we try to identify all the possible rules. We're trying to identify all the possible rules so that we can automate and our system will be faster. Okay, so see, if you do not have this rule, then somebody has to calculate, and sometimes manually they have to do it once, and sometimes manually we can make errors, right? Instead of saying approve, you can click on reject, right? And you may not know that you have clicked on reject, or maybe you have calculated wrong. You use calculator and you missed a space, or you gave extra zero, whatever, right? So human beings are slow and also prone to error. That's why we are trying to replace as much things with machine. Okay, so business rules is like creating these rules so that you don't need human intervention. Okay, automatically rules may be created and action can be taken. Functional decomposition is something we have already discussed. When you have a bigger problem, right, you break it into smaller pieces. We took that sales example, right, where product, inventory, okay, or finance, correct, and then we slowly derive at the problem. Okay, so it's called functional decomposition. Root cause analysis, we have seen CPOC. Okay, CPOC stands for supplier input, process, output, and consumer. So if you look at any business, right, or any process as such, okay, where process, okay, P is in between. To execute a process, you need some input, right? If you're performing, your process is to do sum, right? If your process is to do sum, you need to get two numbers as input. If your process is to perform, say, loan approval, if you're a loan approval officer, your purpose is to approve or reject, you need the loan application, right? If there's no application, then you can't reject or accept. So that's the input. Okay, so every process will have input, and the system or the person, right? Most of the time it's the system that supplies the input is called supplier. Okay, so if I'm a loan officer, I need to approve or reject, I need applications. Who will supply me the applications? The supplier or the customers. Customers will send me the applications. That is called supplier. So supplier will provide input to a process, and process will process it and then create an output, right? So so that's called input. Okay, so supplier will provide you input. It could be, mostly it could be a system, right? But it could be human being also. So you process, and then what you provide is outcome. When you add 2 + 3, the 5 is outcome. When you approve or reject is an outcome, and that has to be consumed. You have to, as a system, you cannot calculate and hold it, right? You have to give it to some other system or display on the screen, or so that is called the person who's going to, person or system, okay, who's going to take that output is called consumer. So to perform any process, you need input data, and the process will give you some output. So you need to provide some input and need to handle the output. So the system that provides input is called supplier. System that consumes the output is called consumer. So when you talk about any application, so you have to understand the CPOP. What input do I need? What output I need to create? Who will provide me the input, and to whom should I provide the outcome? Okay, and then you have stakeholders. So tell me which stakeholders you don't understand, and we'll go through this and we'll talk about it.
Domain SME.
Domain SME stands for subject matter expert. Domain SMEs, if you're working on retail, you'll have a retail expert working with you. So if you don't understand the domain, right, you will have someone who understands the domain, okay, and you can ask them any question that you have.
Okay.
Okay. Then
who is regulator? Regulator is mean like
regulator who comes up with regulatory requirements, right? In healthcare, we have FDA, that's the regulator, right? In finance, we have
yeah.
certain body,
Got it.
right? They come up with, they're called regulators. They are the ones who will come and check whether you're following all the regulations or not.
Yeah, like conducting audit.
Yes. Okay, and then finally you come up with business need document. Okay, so in business need document, we come up with this something called as balance scorecard. Balance scorecard has 4 factors, and each of these 4 factors have like 4 different things that we need to capture. Okay, so when you're doing business need, right, the business need could be because of financial. Okay, so see here bottom, you see customer, it could be because of customer. Okay, or do our customers see us? Okay, or I want to improve the customer interaction, I want to retain more customer, right? So anything related to customer could be one factor. Finance, right, I want to get more profit, more revenue, more profit margin or less cost, reduce the transportation cost, etc. Anything related to dollar finance is called financial information. Okay, then you have internal process. I need to improve the internal process, right? You bring a new HR system, you bring a new finance system in place. These are nothing but improving your internal process. And then 4th one is called innovation and improvement. It is more from employee perspective. When you bring innovation, you are improving the way employee is working, right? So that is related to the employee innovation, right? Innovation, process, okay, your finance and customer. So your objective has to be one of these or more than one of these. It could be all 4 or any 3 or 2 or 1. You cannot have anything beyond this, right? For a business, it's all about the people, the process, the customer, and the finance, right? That's what they look at, these things. So your objective has to be one of these. Once you identify how many objectives you have, okay, 1 or 2 or 3 or all 4 of them, then we need to get down to details, right? So we say here first, if you see, I don't know, you may not be able to see, but yeah, when you zoom later, you can see. The first is called objective. Second column is called measure. Third is target. And last one is the steps. Okay, how do you achieve it? So objective, okay, objective is to improve the profit margin. Okay, so that's fine. So your objective is to improve profit margin. Your objective is to reduce the employee attrition. Perfect. Your objective is to improve the customer interaction. Perfect. These are the objectives. Then we talk about the measure. Measure is the current value. I told you, right, something if we can't measure, we can't improve, right? So if you're improving, then you have to know what is my performance, correct? So measure profit margin is currently 30%. That's your measurement. What is the current rate? Attrition. Current attrition of employee is 9%. Then second one is target. Target is what you want to achieve. Okay, profit margin is 30%, fine, but I want to achieve 35% of profit margin. 35% becomes the target. Your current is measurement and your target is, or what you want to achieve is your target. And then you talk about what steps do you need to follow. Okay, what steps that you will do to achieve that. That is your last step or the description, we call it. So you have measure, okay, and that is for the objective, right? So within these 4 areas, different objectives that you have identified, then the measure, target, and finally the steps that you need to follow. And that you will do for all the objectives that you identified. Okay, all the objectives that you identified, you will do this kind of work. Okay, this is called balanced scorecard. So we'll stop here if there are no questions here for today. Tomorrow we'll talk about capability gaps. Okay.
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 Any question here on this?
No, sir.